Hello and welcome to Jessie Bear Book Club. Today we were talking about All About History magazine, issue number 64, and this one is all about Napoleon and Waterloo, or Napoleon's Waterloo. Isn't he just ugly, little small man, little angry Italian man? Was he the sick man of Europe or was it the Turks? I'm gonna Google that because I cannot remember. This is one of the older issues of All About History magazine, and it's the only older issue I have, and it's a lot thicker. This one has, I think, over 100 pages. Oh, only 97. It feels thicker though, and it's full of adverts. Anyway, it's been taking me a little while to get through this magazine, mainly because I'm not very interested in Napoleon or military campaigns. So it's taken me a bit to read it. I keep putting it down, picking it up, reading an article here, half a page there, but I'm finally finished. And without further ado, let's get into the meat of the situation. Taking a closer look at the cover of this magazine, we can see here, Royal Wedding Bloodbath. That was a really interesting article about a royal wedding in Spain that went disastrously wrong. And then there's also this lovely article about pirates, which gave me Sinbad the Sailor vibes. So we open up, we have our usual table of contents, which is a bit bigger. Normally they're only one page in the newer magazines, so this is quite good. And we will get on to this amazing article, which I believe is called, is it on the cover here? No, it's called Don't Call Me Princess, and it's about badass women from history, which we will talk about, and the artwork is so cute. So moving along, some nice photography, which you always get in All About History. Some more Beatlemania photography. I like the Beatles. It was one of the first cassette tapes I had on my Walkman, showing my age. I was 6 and I had the Beatles on cassette tape, and I was like, yeah, yeah, yeah. Some Picasso. It's quite a cool, stylized picture. I don't know. We had to study Picasso a lot in school, and I've been to quite a few Picasso museums, especially the one in Malaga quite a few times, and I don't know, it kind of put me off him. You know when you study something a lot in school and it kind of kills your interest in it. More photography. Drive-in movies, they're coming back at the moment because of COVID, so interesting photo. And then the Barbary Coast. For anyone who doesn't know, the Barbary Coast is a stretch of coastline around Spain and North Africa, going into Greece and Italy a bit. Kind of where I grew up. And it has some it has a timeline here of all the pirates from the Barbary Coast. And then it explains Barbary ships. I like galleys because they were very maneuverable. My dad was obsessed with boats, so I know a bit about them. They also have the brilliant anatomy picture, which they always have in these magazines, which I love. It's always an amazing artwork with some emphasis on what they would wear. And then we have another advert in the middle of an article. Why do they do this? I hate it. Don't put an advert in the middle of an article. It's like when you're halfway through listening to a song on YouTube and they play an advert. Anyway, next page also has how to rate a ship. A step-by-step guide, which I really liked. I thought it was kind of cute and don't do this at home, kids, kind of vibes. Also has some, stories from the pirating days. And then my favorite, it went through all the pirate kings and queens. Don't forget her. Sadia al-Hurra, who was Moroccan, and her story is really cool. I really liked her story. And then there's this guy as well. I read all these little ones. I thought they were so interesting, and especially her, because I'd never heard of her, and finding out she'd married the King of Morocco and stuff was amazing. And that she was a Moor who was thrown out of Granada after the conquest. That was really, really, really good. And she married the king in Tetuan, which I've been to. Spent quite a lot of time there actually when I was a kid. Moving along, more adverts. Well, that's not an advert, but you get the idea. And now we get to the main article of the magazine, Napoleon's Last Stand. And won't lie, I didn't enjoy it. I don't find Napoleon interesting at all. It was well written. It was a good article. They covered all their bases. It was really about Napoleon, coming back after the first time he was exiled and what he did. Got timeline and stuff. And it wasn't for me.
I find the Napoleonic Wars dull. I think, you know, like, we all know Josephine and Napoleon and, like, his love life, but I prefer, like, personal history, like, interpersonal history to war history. War history can be interesting, it can have personal stories, but when you're just talking about battle campaigns, like, I'm sorry, I'm a girl, I'm not interested. Moving on. Sign up, you know. This magazine definitely has more adverts, and then they have the lost city of Benin. I don't know why I always say Benin when I read it in my head. Benin, which is a lost city in Africa, which was kind of abandoned, and it talks about them trading with the Portuguese, and sounds really amazing. I've never heard of it before. They've got this little artwork of how it was laid out, and some of the information about what the king would have worn, and it was a good article. I mean, I think I would actually prefer to read like a textbook about this, because it was so interesting, and the way they traded with the Portuguese and like other colonial groups, really, really, really cool, and how it was really in the middle of the jungle, like they cleared massive space for it. We then move on to the Royal Wedding Bloodbath of Princess Victoria Eugenie, the granddaughter of Queen Victoria, and King Alfonso XIII of Spain. And this was such an interesting article. It tells the story about how a terrorist in Spain tried to blow up their wedding procession, and it was caught on camera. He throws a bomb from a terrace and it hits the carriage there. You can actually see the explosion. Isn't that insane? They actually got a photograph of it. And it blew up. It nearly killed the poor princess, and it killed quite a few people around them in their procession. She was covered in blood, and there were brains in her poor veil, and she had to go to the reception afterwards, and they wouldn't let her change. She had to do the entire wedding, like after the service, the wedding reception, drenched in blood and brain, and you just feel so sorry for her. You know, and there's some artwork of the explosion, and then this is, you know, like a timeline of how it happened and their engagement, which was rather fast, but I suppose engagements back then were rather fast. This was her wedding dress, which unfortunately got covered in blood and brain, and then other bloody weddings of history. But I really, really enjoyed this article. I actually just went down a Google rabbit hole, like researching them and their family, and then trying to figure out how they're related to the present King of Spain, which I did, but I spent like an hour researching it. I love it when that happens. You read an article and then you get into like this like research mode, and you're like, I'm gonna figure this all out. Our next article is about Galileo and the church, and it was kind of boring. It's all about astronomy. I'm not really into astronomy. Like, I don't understand. I'd rather go under the ocean than into space. I've always been like that. I don't see any kind of, like, I like Star Trek, but I don't really like the idea of space travel. But then I don't like the idea of submarine travel either. I suppose because I'm a bit claustrophobic. But I think the sea would be better. Space would just be freaky. At least under the sea there's like other things. I mean, they can eat you, but you get the idea. Space, just, ooh, that vast wilderness of nothingness is terrifying. Not for me. And another advert, this time for books. Might actually read that book. We're getting onto that, don't worry. And then we have Don't Call Me Princess. This was amazing. Just look at these little artworks, these little cartoons. And they are little like extracts from a book which was written called Tough Mothers, the Mighty Matriarchy. And it covers these female rulers or heroines. You know, they did different things. And it's actually amazing, these little stories. I just love them. They were so cute. And I love like the Disney artwork, because these women, like, you know, slit people's throats, cut people's heads off, you know, blind in one eye, you know, fought valiantly, were absolutely amazing. And I just love them. And I'm definitely going to buy the book. And I just love the art. I want to cut them all out and like keep them as a collection, or make them into little cards to give to my friends. But you know, when you cut one out and then you end up losing the one on the other page, which is kind of annoying. So if anybody has read that book, Tough Mothers, the Mighty Matriarchy, please let me know, because I really, really want to read it. And I found it on Amazon, but I don't know if it's worth it. So let me know, because I want the artwork. That's what I really want. I want to look at the artwork and be like, it's so pretty. We then get the story of this guy here and his heroic life in the Second World War, and how he ended up on the horrific Burma Railway. And ooh, it was a bit much for me. My great uncle died in a Japanese prisoner of war camp, just like the ones that were used to build the Burma Railway, and I was just not really into it. It was a bit sad. I didn't really want to read it. And then we have A Time Traveler's Guide to Sparta, and this was just kind of fun. You know, it's just 2 pages, but it was just fun, a little bit jokey. I was reading these out to my boyfriend today when he was in work. Well, he's in work, he's working from home. So I was reading him these, and they're just funny, you know, nice. It kind of reminded me of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy a bit, just like funny little bits, you know, you'll never use. And then there's What if Spain had conquered China? And I'm actually reading a couple of books about China at the minute, so this was interesting. But it was mainly about how they planned their military campaign, the same way they planned their campaigns in South America, and how they thought it'd be very similar. So that was interesting, and how they were going to do it, which I enjoyed. It was a bit of a, like, what if, you know, like, what if Hitler had won the war? What had happened if, like, the North had won the Civil War? It was one of those articles. And then we have burial rituals, which was morbid, but I liked it. I like that sort of thing. You know, seeing how people honor their dead. It was just a couple of pages, interesting enough. Then we have the Battle of Castilier, which I skimmed just about. Didn't pay very much attention to it. Sorry, you know, there's only so much Second World War I can take. And then we get on to Elizabeth Lamb, hero or villain. And I'd never really heard of Elizabeth Lamb that much. I knew the name. I knew she was friends with the Duchess of Devonshire and stuff, but I didn't know very much about her, and I loved this article. Like, God, she got about, you know, you go girl. And I just really liked it, but mostly I love this little picture where her and, what's her name? Georgina, the Duchess of Devonshire, and their friend Anne Dammer were all painted as the witches of Eastwick. Not Eastwick, I always say that. The witches from Macbeth. And I really liked it. Like, I really want someone to paint me as a witch in, like, a classical style. It'd be so cool. Like, I would, like, try and talk my friends into that. Be like, well, I'll take photos dressed as witches. And they'd be like, nope. And it just goes on to talk about her many, many love affairs, including one with the future King George IV, which she enjoyed, and how her children, you know, really became politicians. And one of her sons, her second son, became British Prime Minister, and her daughter married another man who became British Prime Minister, and it was interesting. And then we get the assassination of Martin Luther King, and we all know about that, and there was really no new information, so if you're interested, read it. It's only 2 pages, not that detailed. Another advert. Then we have a recipe for moussaka. I love moussaka, and my boyfriend hates it because he hates aubergines with a passion. So I want to make this, and I'm going to have to wait until he's visiting his parents, or I'm in Spain with my mum or something. My mum likes moussaka, so I'm going to have to wait and make this. But, like, look at all those ingredients. I think it's a bit much, you know? Like, I normally like a recipe with, like, most 10 ingredients. Like, all those spices. Like, why do you need all those? I might cut a few out, but it looks nice. Like, I would definitely eat that. Making me hungry just looking at it. We then move on to book reviews, and there's The Daughters of the Winter Queen, which I think would be quite good. And then we have Animals in Roman Society, and I quite like it. It looks quite nice. I think it'd be quite a fun book to give a friend who, one of my friends loves dogs and has a really big dog, so I think that'd be quite like a good present to give someone. And Tesla. Yeah, you know, electric, we get it. And then we have some TV show reviews. I have this saved on my Netflix to watch, Sweet Country, and I really, really want to watch it, but it looks a little bit rapey, and I kind of, you know, I'm like, oh, do I want to, when I'm in the mood, when I'm in the right mood for it, I'll watch it. Otherwise, it can just, like, creep you out and give you nightmares. And then we have A United Kingdom. I loved that movie. It's on Netflix, I think, at the minute. Or was it on iPlayer? I think it was on iPlayer for a while, and I watched it. It's really good. I would give it an A instead of a B+. I enjoyed it. And then we have Horrible Histories advert on the last page. Fun fact, I tried to go to this when it came to Belfast. I actually went online and tried to order myself tickets, but when I went on, it was all sold out, and I was so upset. And I just love Horrible Histories. I've been rewatching them on Netflix. Like, I just love them. They're so funny. But that is it for my little review of All About History magazine. Issue number 64. If you liked this review, please like, this video and subscribe to my channel so you won't miss my next review. I'm now out of All About History magazines and I'm moving on to the BBC magazines, which should be fun. They're a lot shorter. They look shorter, but they're probably not. That's 98 pages. Who knows? But anyway, like, comment, and subscribe to my channel for more history magazine reviews. Bye!